Twitch streaming, how revolutionary is it? The question this report is attempting to answer is whether the globalization of music production community has led to it becoming more diverse and equitable. The two key frameworks of this investigation are listed as such. The utopian aspects of globalization, how the platform and users have created unparalleled equity in the music production flow compared to the legacy systems of music production. The dystopian aspects of globalization, such as cultural imperialism, proximity and linguistic, how these create inequalities in the transnational flow of media. By framing this investigation through areas of study rich with academic theories, this report aims to discuss the research question alongside these theories, making the unpacking and analysis of academic sources crucial. The utopian aspects of globalization. Music production in the past was sheltered behind closed doors and only accessible to a few. The required cost to set up a studio costing well over $10,000. The global distribution and monetization streams were also sheltered behind legacy media foundations monopolized by Western countries. Even in these cases, music producers will still go a combination of lower setup costs and a shift into what can be described as a new media front of globalization has created an opportunity for a new shift in the model. Current pandemic events, the shift of music producers onto the internet has increased at a much higher rate. By subscribing to a rudimentary utopian view of this distribution for social media sites, it seems that globalization has definitely facilitated a much freer global flow of information. O'Shaughnessy writes of this global village in reference to philosopher Marshall McLuhan's preemptive imagining of the internet. He writes, "The global village is an image of the world in which media transcend the nation-state in a democratizing process that gives everyone voice a chance to be heard and enables information to be truly shared." In terms of history, there's not been a time where producers were able to so easily set up a network between their content and the world. These new platforms of sharing media socially, such as Twitch and YouTube, are described in online entertainment, a new wave of media globalization. The latter, established forms of global media enter territories with IP-controlled content, whereas platforms such as YouTube exhibit facilitation rather than content control, and much greater content creator, service firm, and language and cultural diversity than traditional global media hegemons. This facilitation has led to a far closer and less edited look into producers around the globe. A scan of the music production homepage. On this homepage, we see producers from around the globe. Most notably, in the top 5 producers on Twitch is Spell, a Maori man from New Zealand, and Cash Money AP, a producer from Russia, who are not backed by a record label and have found their fame and success on Twitch over the lockdown break. Ample evidence suggests that we are finding those voices, businesses and careers to a larger extent in the online social media entertainment space than in older established global media orders. This global restructuring of distribution chains, when looked through the lens of a utopian view of globalization, can definitely be attributed to a more equitable flow of information. The dystopian aspects of globalization, such as when looking through a utopian lens of globalization, it's easy to overlook some of the structures which remain even in the facilitated market that is Twitch. There are many factors which influence media consumption, and some in particular which can have a detrimental aspect on the supposedly global village. As described in the Thomas B. Kizak and James G. Webster article, Cultural Proximity and Audience Behavior, cultural proximity is an idea which seeks most to explain media preferences across national borders. The idea discusses how people will gravitate towards media of their own culture, and that viewers which exist in the same cultural linguistic as the media will ultimately relate to it more. Music production, like with many other forms of media, in the early stages of globalization, has been for the most part heavily dictated by the West. Unfortunately, at the top of music production triangle, this is still the same. This is an issue which has circulated since the globalization of media first arrived. If there is a global village, it speaks American, it drinks Coke, recognizes Mickey Mouse, E.T., Bart Simpson. O'Shaughnessy, 2012. This theory proposes the grim idea of the global community becoming a single Western, imperialistic, monolithic culture. Certainly, in the case of Twitch, the predominant community speaks English, makes music in modes and scales which reflect Western musical theory, and references Western pop culture icons in their music. Signs of hope. Topping songs such as Love No Auntie being sung in Nigerian and produced by a Nigerian producer, Asian-filled labels such as 88 Rising, and centers such as South Korea becoming a hub of development, the Western grip on this cultural linguistic is becoming more blurred than ever. We are hopefully seeing the products of a more diverse flow of information across the global community. Although there will always be limitations set by the dystopic aspects of globalization, it's important to also reflect on its benefits. It's important to challenge your own tastes as an individual. And there is more work to be done to fully distinguish Twitch as a platform which facilitates an equitable flow of information for music producers. A further discussion is required to fully measure the merits and utility of this new form of global media. However, its potential to facilitate equitable media flow should definitely be further explored and hopefully realized.